What up, everybody? Party Science here with Lefty. Today I have a very special guest, which I'm excited to be sitting down with, none other than Big O. Oscar, thank you for having me, man.
Thank you.
I genuinely appreciate your time. And look, I'll just kind of get right into it because I have so many questions in terms of wanting to know how you got here. So, did you grow up here in Mass? Like, how did you, what was your childhood like to where you got to the point where you're at now?
So I was born in Venezuela,
Okay.
Caracas, Venezuela. Came up here to Framingham in November of '89, if I remember that right.
Okay.
November in '89, December '89. It was definitely '89. I was 12 at the time. Let me put some age numbers in there.
Okay.
My mom was coming up. We stayed with my uncle, and that was like the beginning of a new whole like lifestyle to come up here. You know, I was only 12. I'm like learning all new things, new schools, the language. Like it was amazing. It was really good coming up here when I was 12.
Right. So, what made your family move here? Was there family here already, or like how did that?
My uncle lived up here, and my mom just wanted a better future. Absolutely, just like, hey, let's keep moving forward. USA, land of the dreams, right? So we just came up here and make it happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you got cars, you got DJing, you got family, you are one of. All right, so I'll say it this way. On social media, I wake up early. I'm usually like a 3-4 o'clock morning in the morning person.
You are.
So I look at who else is grinding early. That's like a thing for me.
Yeah.
And you, out of all people, bro, like you smoke everybody else I look at in terms of you're out working out, then you're doing the boat stuff, you're doing the radio stuff, you're always putting stuff together. Yeah. So did you always, like when you moved here, did you always want to become a DJ? Did you want to get into cars? Like what came first for you?
Cars came first by nature. My dad was a lot into cars, and when I was little, I was always like helping him. 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, just helping him, whether it was a radio swap or doing whatever, giving him a tool at his house. So the cars definitely came first, but the love for music was always there. There was always always loved music. I was always intrigued when I would go and go to the club. I was always like, "What's the DJ?" Oh man, and I was just, how is he controlling this room? And that's a different era where like the DJ really had a grip. They're not worried about bottles or the VIP tables. They were just really like, this dance floor is dancing. How is he really like, I always admire that control. But it was just such a like another level. I was never like, wow, I'm gonna be one of those guys. It was so far from me to even think about it. I was like, I could never be one of those guys. That's crazy. That's like serious. But I would say the DJ blew up faster than the car stuff. There was points in my life where the DJ like became primary, and the car stuff was just there. But they now both balance it back to back. It's the best way I could put it, I would say.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. So let's talk about your dad for a second.
Yeah.
What was the first car you worked on with him that you can remember?
Corvette. All my baby pictures are with a Corvette and a Jeep Wrangler, which was a real scary. Like he had a motor swap on that thing, and like my mom was always worried because he would pick us up and we'd go to the beach with that thing. It was just like, you're gonna hurt somebody with this car. So a lot of the baby pictures and a lot of the memories when I was young, it was a Corvette and the Jeep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did it slowly transition to where like now I'm sitting in your garage here and I'm like, bro, this is every car I've ever dreamt of like seeing and moving like here in real life, So like how did that happen? Like from Corvettes, Jeep Wranglers to this.
To Supras.
Yeah.
Supras, right?
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah,
Supra?
yeah. Bro, I'm looking at this, I'm like, yo, isn't this the car from Initial D? Like, didn't I see this from Initial D, bro? Like, this is it.
This is one of those.
Yeah.
It came about here in Waltham. I went to vocational school in Waltham, and all my friends had Toyotas. There was a few odds and ends, non-Toyota cars, but I was just drawn to like how easy it was to work on them. I'm like, wow, you could take this whole car apart with like 3 sockets. This is amazing. And like, I liked the cars, and it came organically. It's like a lot of it doesn't feel like forced into it. It was just organically happened. I went to the dealership, grabbed some parts, ended up walking out of there with a job. And, it just like, it grew so quick, so fast at the dealership level. 23 years there, becoming a shop foreman, master diagnostic technician, and I achieved a quality championship that is given out by Toyota. At the time, I didn't really know what that championship really meant when they gave it to me, until I started doing some research and I found out that it's a regional certification that they give out. All the Toyota dealerships in this area, they have roughly, I don't know what the exact number, but if you would say 25 to 40 technicians per dealership. In the region, I don't know, something like 60 to 70 dealerships or whatever it is.
It's about like 200 plus easily.
People in it,
Yeah.
and it's not like a contest that you sign up for. It's just you get picked out of your performance, cars that are fixed right the first time, cars that they don't come back, obviously, customers that are happy with the work that is performed. They call me up, I believe, if I look it up there, it was 2012. They called me to the office, they gave me the certificate. I'm kind of like money hungry at the time.
Sure.
Like, okay, this is amazing. What else comes
Yeah,
with
is
it?
there a bonus that comes?
there a
Like,
bonus?
where's the cash incentive, baby? Yeah, yeah,
I got a mortgage.
I got kids.
Yeah.
All right, so you get the certification. You're in the office. They give it to you. 2012 is what you said,
2012,
right?
yeah, 2012.
So you walk in. You're money hungry. Your thought is like, I'm just getting a piece of paper. That's cool. Where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
So like, how did it develop from there? Like,
That was probably one of the high points for myself because the certifications at a dealership, they're taken very seriously. That's how you kind of like graduate from one area to the next. If not, you'll stay being an oil changer your whole career. That really came a big valuable to my career when I opened this shop. It's when I really realized, because I was getting reached out from other dealerships appreciating, like, hey, you have one of these, where you going? You want to come work for us?
oh, nice.
So this was like, let me give it like a year, see what happens. Because I did have the customer base, even at the dealership level, that they would go to the dealership and they would just ask, even before they got out of their car at the drive-through, they drop off the vehicles, is Oscar working? No? And they would just drive out, kind of deal. Like, people are coming here requesting you, the super people. Obviously, this is specialty work. So that's when I was like, wow, this certificate, it's worth more than I know it is. So I took a higher level of respect for that certificate. And also knowing that it's one of three. It's not a first, second, third place. It's one of three in 2012 in the region. Like, wow, like I have that. And to this day, it's the only one that dealership has won. That dealership's been there since, I don't know, early 70s or something.
That's awesome. man.
So to be
Congrats on that.
Thanks,
bro.
man.
That's sick.
It's really like, it's a nice thing to say, like, wow, I have one of these. This is pretty cool. At that day when I got it, I was kind of still like, we took some pictures and did the whole thing with it, all the managers, and it was nice. But like now, it's when it's like, man, I got one of these.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The money came, baby.
Yeah. To win something you had no idea. I didn't know it existed. I had no idea that existed. That was a thing until I saw it, and I had to educate myself, ask some of the, more old school cats that been in the industry. Hey, what? They start telling me. I'm like, oh wow, I get it. I get it. Okay, I got one of those. Wow. Whatever I did, I made somebody happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So you go into the dealership to pick up parts. You end up getting a job.
Yeah.
You're there for over 2 decades. Would you say how many
23.
years? 23 years,
23
right?
years, yeah.
So after 23 years,
Yeah.
people are starting to hit you up, seeing if you want to go to their dealership and, kind of.
So there was a gap between there and here, because the word travels fast when you're not working for a company. Throughout those 23 years, there was multiple managers. Managers rotate businesses a lot. And everybody in the industry, they'll jump around different locations. And they're always trying to bring you with them, right? I got one of the good guys. And
You're a selling point for them to get the job too, I would assume.
Exactly. Like, I can come with a guy. I can come and bring a couple of master mechanics with me. It happens in the industry. I mean, DJs, anything you want to, right?
Yeah.
But from the gap that it ended at the dealership to the time I opened this, there was a lot of like, hey man, how you doing? Where you going? Where you going? And you know, it was like, oh, I know what they're after. They want this on their roster.
Right.
They want Big Papi over there.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, right? I mean, sometimes you gotta talk your talk, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta talk your talk. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's when I really took a whole different level of respect for that.
Yeah.
For that.
So you leave the dealership, you have the pause in between.
Yeah.
What was the thought? Because you say you've been here 3 years now.
3
right,
years.
Right. So what was the thought to be like, all right, I'm going to open my own spot? And who was your first customer? If you remember.
Wow. This right here was the first customer. This Supra right here. It's a good customer and a family friend. Like all of these cars are by appointment only. It's friends and family. It's not open to the public. You cannot Google me and find the address and or the phone number. It is completely private. This is what I do. This is the love and the passion. I don't charge for labor. I charge for passion. I don't say that when the customer asks how much work does my car need, I don't decide that. The car decides how much work it needs. What was done before, what was done right and or wrong, and what do I have to do to make it reliable. A lot of these cars that are customized, they end up being unreliable because they'll bring it to a shop that is not confident in the repairs and how things are going to fail. When you modify a car, they do fail. Well, I own 2 Supras myself and the Corolla. I know what fails on these cars. I know what to do. And thanks to the 23 years at the dealership, they send you out for training, how to do wire repairs the correct way, how to set up suspensions. Some things should not be done rushed and not checked after you do the work. So if you do a big job, the first thing you do, you take it out for a ride. And you bring it back in, you put it back up in the air, and you just grab a flashlight and you go bumper to bumper. What did I do wrong? You're looking for your own, which was pretty fun because at the dealership level, I used to finish a car, bring it back in, put it up in the air, grab my flashlight, and give it to the guys next to me. Pick my job apart. Whatever you find. There's no egos. We all learn together.
Yeah, that's confidence.
You know, like I forgot a bolt, point it out. Did I leave something loose? Point it out. Because that was the way I was trained. So it's showing the younger generation like, hey, we can learn together. You know, it's a saying that we always say, like Daryl and Johnny, each one teach one. We all grow together. I know sometimes that you tend to think that the older ones are the ones that know the most. Not necessarily. There was a lot of times at the dealership that they will give me an apprentice to train. And I will give this apprentice a repair order. Hey, go put this car on this go put this radio on this new car. And he'll bring it in. I wouldn't tell him how I would do it personally. I would just say, this radio needs to go in this car. And let them kind of get the wheels turning. More than once, they would do it in a faster way, in a way that I would like it. And I say to them, man, I'm going to try that way. And it really brightens up their eyes. When they hear, like, this is a master mechanic telling me he's going to do it the way I did it. And it fuels their fire. Like, wow, I did something right. You know, because it's hard. It's hard. You're out there learning something you don't know anything about, doing repairs you never seen before. So it starts to give them that push. You're doing it the right way. You're doing it the right way. You know, each one teach one. And it's just kind of like we all learn together. So I keep that here to just like, these are not my guinea pigs. I already got my own cars that I broke and I know what breaks. You know, just to come back to the modified world. Like these cars, you want to try to keep them as reliable as possible. What is the customer going to do with it? Is it a race car only? Okay, then we have to, it's a different plane. Is it a car that you want to enjoy on Sundays with your family and your kids? We have to keep that in mind. Like you want power steering, you want AC. Race cars, you don't. You just want to go down the race. You don't care about AC, right? So it's different builds. You know, no two builds are the same. They could be similar, but they're not the same. Some cars require more work than others. And that's just the passion. Like, it is the passion. When I'm talking to the customers, they say labor. There's no labor here. There's passion.
Okay, so you get your first customer.
Yeah.
And then you slowly start to build this business for yourself.
Yeah.
So now that you've gotten to a point where you don't need to have any type of social, like, you put
Yeah.
social media, but you
Yeah.
don't really need to go that
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah.
How does it feel? And then what is the goal for yourself with, is it big? Okay, you do call it big. Okay, because
Yeah.
I was ready to call it Big O Motorsports, but
Yeah.
like, okay.
Big O Motorsports.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Big O
So,
Motorsports.
Okay.
So the plan was really simple because the people knew what I was doing and they trusted me. They seen my work at the dealership level. I had an open house here to let customers like him know I'm not at the dealership anymore. This is where you can find me. It's almost like a DJ, right? You can go back and forth. It's almost like the DJ world. Hey, I'm DJing at this night tonight. So although you like that place that I was at last week, I'm at this place this week. So that was what I did here. The groundwork was let the people that already know me come show them where to find me. And once they were here, I don't know, there was like 10 Supras outside in a street that's probably never seen one in 10 years. So to all of a sudden have all these, you want to call them supercars or whatever, dream cars come through here. And that is what did the groundwork. That was the roots. I didn't have to say anything because I was still not, the page was there in Instagram. The page was open thanks to COVID. COVID happened, the DJ work stopped. So I had no content to put on my DJ stuff. We all know what happened in COVID. Yeah. I was working on a lot of these cars. So that's what I had, and that was my content. And the apprentice at the time was like, man, let's open a Big O Motorsports page. So it started with a page. The dream to have a shop was always there, right? But started with the page came first. And then all of a sudden, the word started getting out. There's a few shops in California, there's a few shops in Florida that they're Supra only. It's very specific vehicle. That's all they work on. In this area, there is none. There's some good performance shops that they do very good work, but they're not only Supra repair shops. My edge is, my niche, if you want to call it, is that I can find a discontinued item that they've been searching for a long time, and I have it, and I'll use it with their car. Bring the cars back to life. This car here is called Back to Life. Like, these cars got names out here, Back to Life. So once that like got the traction, you get from one guy to the next, it's a routine because they'll enjoy the car for the summer, they'll come back, and just basically like a fun cycle, if you want to call it a cycle. Yeah. One guy tells another guy, you'd be surprised how many of these. And there's a list of cars that if I had more guys here, yeah, but you can't just bring a regular repair guy here because you're not doing regular repair. You're doing things that like require that time and attention, passion to do it. And to do it right, make sure it's gonna last. If you're doing wire repairs, why did it fail? Was it because it was rubbing up against something? Or was it because somebody modified it in the wrong way, using the wrong gauge of wire, too much draw? So those are the things that the basics that you learn through schools, through the training, through Toyota, it's what really, really helped all this 23 years later, right?
Yeah. So what do you find for most people, right, who end up buying an amazing car like this? What do you find is the most common mistake that a mechanic who doesn't specialize in this will end up doing on their car that ends up costing them way more than if they had just gone to a specialist?
Overdoing it. And when I mean overdoing it is when you buy one of these cars, they automatically want to go faster. I want to go faster. I want 1,500 horsepower. Okay, we all want that, great. But you're only driving it on Sunday. We're up here in New England, we don't have E85 at gas stations. There might be a couple here and there, but down at the, Florida and warmer states, they have E85. It's easier to make more power with different fuels. So the number one mistake is they're on social media, they're on YouTube, they're like, oh, I want to spit flames, I want a two-step, I want big, huge, crazy stuff, and then they hate the car. They're like, this doesn't drive good. It stalls out all the time. It wasn't tuned right. It was rushed. So the number one mistake is overdoing it. You got to really listen to the people that's been there, done that, to say You don't need this massive drag race turbo. I can step you down 3 sizes less, and you're gonna enjoy this car a lot better on the street. So overdoing it, I say, is the number one mistake, and that usually happens from shops that just, they'll say yes to the customer for the money. You know, they gotta pay the rent, I get it. But do right by the customer, always gotta come first.
Right, right. Now, for yourself, you say you own 2 of them.
Yeah.
So is one a Sunday car and one a race car? Or like, how do you end up with 2? And like, what are they for?
So I always did, the Corolla was first. The Corolla was always first. My first Supra, which I still have now, it's, I don't know, it's 18 years almost, 17, 18 years with the first Supra. I was a friend of the owner, and I was helping him build the car. He would come, order some parts, and I would say, hey, do this, do that. And I had told him, if you ever hear somebody selling one, I want to get my hands on one, because I was, ever since high school, you know, I was not sold from Fast and the Furious. When the movie came out, I already knew what the car was all about. The movie just let the world know.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's where I learned about it. Yeah.
In the global side. But I already, when I saw that car on the big screen, I was like, oh, now they know. Okay,
yeah, you deserve to be there, baby. Yeah,
come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So roughly about a year later, he hit me up, the guy that I was helping him build that car. He says, I got to sell the car. I'm like, all right. We met, we talked about it, and a very abused vehicle has been totaled, I believe, 3 times. So when people, they're like, that thing's been totaled 3 times? That car has been totaled 3 times. In the fire, highway accidents, high-speed crashes, before I had it. And throughout its life, it's been put together in ways that you could see the cut corners. Mm-hmm. Cut corners, things not done the right way. That was the first one. The second one, almost the same stories. Right around coming out of COVID, a friend of mine had one, and he had been to a couple shops in the area, and then the car died. For about a year. He had it in his house parked, and we talked about it a few times through Instagram and stuff. I need your help, and I was already hip to it. He brought it to the dealership for me to look at it, and we quickly found out, like, this thing needs work. This thing needs a lot of work, and it's a huge budget to fix some of these cars. It just doesn't stop. Once you start digging, you start finding more dirt. And you don't want to ruin, I don't want to ruin my reputation. If the wire harness burned, hey, can you jump the new wire and get me going? No. We got to find out why it burnt, you know? So the second Supra came by just the guy wanted out. I think he was, you know, these are dream cars, can quickly become a nightmare car when they're not done right, you know. And I think that the second Supra was one of those. The poor customer, beautiful paint job. It just needed a little bit of love, you know. That's the second. We made a deal, and hey, you got a new ownership. Yeah. So they both, I like driving them. I don't race them. I don't go to the track with them. I do like going to car shows, because I like to meet new people that are really into cars. We sit there and talk 45 minutes about one bolt. Like, right. You know, that's the true definition of a gearhead. Oh, wow, you did this to yours? Yeah, I did this one to mine. I did that one. Oh, I like how you did that. Oh, he liked how I did this. So it's those experiences, you know, on top of, I've been doing car shows, I don't know, let's go back to like 93, World of Wheels, 94, Bayside Expo Center here in Boston. And people till this day come up and they'll show me their phone with like their 2-year-old sitting in my car that it's now into cars, thanks to like, man, my son took a picture with your Corolla, check this out. And that right there just puts a bigger smile on my face than any trophy will. And we have to put that quote unquote. First, second, third place, I don't care about no trophies winning anything. The memories that are made on these car shows is what really fuels, I got to go to the next one, because somebody's going to see it, enjoy it, see the positive movement, get in the car, fall in love with it, and be like, man, I want to own one of these days. Well, you got to work hard, and that just creates that movement, right? That positive movement of it reinforcing that. Like, I at that moment, I won. When I see a picture and like, or even themselves, like people that be like, man, I know you for 30 years. Sorry. I've known you for 30 years. I remember going to the show back in 92. Look, I took a picture with your car. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. Like that feeds the soul.
Right. Yeah.
In no way that any trophy can.
Yeah. You ignite a passion in people through your passion.
Correct.
You know, and
Correct.
that
Correct.
you continue the excitement for this type of like industry, you know?
Yeah.
So what was it like buying your first Subaru? Like when you finally sat in it and you're like, it's mine. And then what is, like, if you had to say your fondest car memory, what would it be?
Man, so I test drove a few Supras that would come to the dealership, and I was always trying to buy it. I would try to reach out to the customer, like, if you ever want to sell it, if you ever want to sell it. I mean, these people don't want to sell these cars. They're like attached to it. So I test drove the first the white one that's back there. My wife was 6, 7 months, maybe 5 months. She was pregnant at the time. And it's like, I might buy this one. This might be the one. You know, I jumped in a couple of them. This one was like, okay, this feels right. When I finally bought it, I had no idea. I was like, I have this. This is mine. Quickly realized I was one of those. This car is a nightmare. I had bought a car that was abused. It was obviously crashed and fired and not put together right. So I quickly realized, like, man, this car. I enjoyed it for I went to a couple of shows. A buddy of mine helped me paint it, and that's like building the memories. Like, we can't let these cars go because they're part of like the memories. Like, we did that paint job during the snowstorm. Like, we slept in the shop for 3 days. We didn't even go home. You know, it's just the snow Super Bowl. Like, we were at a body shop painting that car, start to finish, nonstop, and that's part of like the memories. You know, my daughter's helping me put the seats back together on this car. Like, it's all about the memories. Whether the car goes to a show, win or lose, I got all the memories. We were able to work on this car together as a family. Like, this is amazing. Like, you could go out to eat as a family, but when you're working on a car together as a family, it's different. That was, you know, that I was happy I bought the first Supra, but a couple years in, I was like, I want to get out of this car. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I want to get out of this car. And it ended up sitting, which is the story with a lot of these cars. It ended up sitting for about, 7 years in the storage. Just kind of like, not forgot about it, but just kind of like, the DJ business is getting bigger. At the time, I'm shop foreman at the dealership. I just had no time for it. I really had no time. I got the 2 daughters. I got the family. And when I did have a Sunday off, the last thing in my mind was to get in a car that was not reliable. This thing might leave me walking a block away from me. So I just wanted no part of it. Just the thought alone, like, I got to go there and deal with this thing. As much as I love it, just didn't want to deal with it.
Now, you speak about your daughter helping you with the cars. Is she a gearhead, or like have you rubbed off on her?
Yeah,
like?
my oldest, absolutely. Because she grew up and she came out to a lot of the car shows when I was really heavy, like going to every show. They call it a circuit, show circuit. You know, it's this week is there, that week is there, that week is there. So she got to come out and like see a lot of it. She loves it. She has one herself. She's got a Corolla herself that she's like painted. She did her own engine swap in the back of her house with a garage with like no heat. And it's just kind of like, wow, she's really into it. Yeah, she's by default, right? Because that's just like really into it. That's my oldest. My youngest daughter loves it because kind of like she's around it, but this is much bigger than car shows. So it's like a different dynamic, I think. You know, she likes them, but I don't think she's heavy like my oldest.
Yeah. So you find that the passion for your oldest came from being at the car shows, but now with your youngest, because she's around it so much more because you have so much, it's almost like she enjoys it, but it's every day for her, so she's used to it almost.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're doing the car stuff, you're at the garage, you take some time off, everybody's contacting you, you decide to open your own place. What's the nerves like deciding to go on your own?
It was crazy. I was mentally wise, I wanted to give it a year. It's like, I'm gonna give this a year. because I knew I could always go to another dealership. The doors are open there. You know, there's no bad blood there. The connections that I have made throughout those 23 years, it's just so great that, not that I can walk into any, but I know that technicians at my level are needed across the nation. So it's like, I don't want to say I can walk in anywhere, but I could, one phone call.
Right. Yeah. That's a nice way of saying it. Man. Yeah, bro, absolutely.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah. 23 years, you got the certificate, you got all the credibility. So
yes.
at this point,
the nerves were definitely shaky, but mentally I was like, I'm gonna give it a year. Financially wise, I got this. Support of my family has been insane. None of this was happening without the support of the family, you know, because that's your backbone. Like, I got this. Yeah, you got this. Okay, I got this. It's a reinforcement, right? The reinforcement. But it's been amazing. It's, you know, past the 3-year mark, so we definitely flew by the first year. I got to keep a tight calendar because some of these cars, they come in with one thing and they end up with a whole bunch of things, because they're project cars, you know, and you have to not only educate the customer, but like, I want to be educated where your car has been. How was it maintained? How was it abused? So I can give you the keys back to your car and have you enjoy it. Your next phone call, your next text, your next time here should be for an oil change. Should not be, man, my car's down for 10 more years. That would just, like, I have nightmares about that stuff. Like, no, I want these people enjoying their cars, you know, so it's that's all I focus on. I want to see their smile. You know, they come in tow trucks, they're driving out.
Yeah.
You know, which is, that was also a big thing at the dealership level. Because at the dealership, they call it the last stop. I call it the last stop of the train. You know, you got cars that nobody could fix, and the dealership has the resources. We have the books. We have Toyota corporate to call. You know, we can't find.
You made the car, like the dealerships. Right.
So you're really the last stop of, like, okay, here's this car. It's been to 10 other gas stations. They have no idea why it don't start. We can't say, call the dealer. We are the dealer. The next time we give the keys, it's got to be to a running car. You know, reliable running car. So that mentality, I carry on here too. I got to give them not just the car. They're like, oh yeah, you put down X amount of horsepower. How long is it going to last? That's my concern.
Right.
That's my concern. So when we sit down and talk about builds and what are we going to do to this car, it's just like, let's put something together that is going to last. You know, good quality parts, passion behind the repair, if you want to call it repair, or the whole project has to just come together well.
Right. So your goal is to pretty much prevent people from feeling the way you felt when your car was sitting in the garage for 7 years.
100%.
Yeah, right.
100%. And thanks to that shop, you know, Race Tech up in New Hampshire, Rick, amazing guy, knowledgeable person. He'll educate you. You know, if you got a million questions, it's kind of painful, but he's there for you. He took my car. I was ready to sell it. I think I told him that a million times. I was ready to sell this car before you gave it back to me. When he gave it back to me, I couldn't believe it. I thought, I was like, what'd you do to my car? This is amazing.
Right.
It went from being at the storage for 7+ years to being at my house in my driveway, outside in the elements where people don't even put these cars outside for a whole year. I was amazed. Like, I have a Supra. Big smile on my face. Like, you brought life back to this thing that I wanted to get rid of because it was just so, I don't want part of this thing, you know, like, wow. Like, so I can see how happy the customers get in that way because I've been there. I am that guy. He still does a lot of my work. Performance-wise, you need the knowledge behind the computers, and that's where the lack of my 23 years wrenching doesn't bring to this side much, because I come from the dealership. The routine work. It's routine work, routine maintenance. you might have the problem here and there, but Toyotas really don't have like a one-off, never seen that before. It's very rare that you do. Everything's very routinish. This is a lot more. We've never seen that before. We've never seen that before. Plus, I don't have a dyno. So a lot of these cars, they want to be dialed in. You need a dyno. You need to put these cars on the machine and just run them and sit there with the laptop and do your work. He's my guy. He's my guy. Connected with him, connected with Alpha, Induction Performance. Those guys really been doing the Supras as long as I've been doing wrenching. So, 26 years working on cars. These guys got 26 years working on only Supras. So my network, it's really dialed in on those guys. Just who's been around, who knows more than me. I'm not afraid to reach out to somebody. Hey, help me. I'm not sitting here saying I have the certifications. I know it all. I know I don't. You got to hit up the guys that have been in the industry. They've been there, done that in ways that I haven't. And that's what helps this whole business grow, because the end consumer gets a better product.
Right. Yeah. And that's how you get them to come back.
Yeah.
For the oil change
For the
and
oil
the
change.
referral.
Exactly. And when they have a Supra, 9 out of 10, they have a Camry, a Corolla, a RAV. A lot of these customers are Toyota fans. My whole family's got Toyotas. So I know that if there's not a Supra in the air, there's going to be somebody's Corolla and Camry, which is just a routine maintenance. Just some brakes on my Highlander. Sure, let's get it done. So not everything has to be performance. I call it all things Toyota.
Right. As if it starts with Toyota,
we're good.
Yeah.
I got you.
Right. So let me ask you this then, because I come from a position where I have passions and they drive me to late hours of the night, and sometimes it burns not the best in terms of making sure the family is like they're as happy as could be.
Yeah.
So when you buy your first Supra, when you open the garage, when you do these things, your wife is 6 months, 7 months pregnant at the time when you get the first Supra.
Yeah.
Was it go get it, babe? Or was there some type of like, okay, let's have a conversation? Like, was it always the support, or how did it build for you to the point where you're here, your children love it, you have the support? Like, how did it get there?
The support's been there. How do I word this? So the respect and support that we have for each other is just above and beyond. That's never been like, you buying a Supra? Wait a minute. What you sure about this? It's just been like, you work hard for it. That's your dream car. Do it. Many years at the dealership, clients and sometimes even technicians that worked with me often said, you need your own shop. That word always came up, but you get so comfortable with your weekly paycheck, your yearly raise, that kind of fogs your vision. But every time another customer says, you need your own shop, you need your own shop, it was kind of like always there, right? And it just kind of like, almost like looking at that DJ booth in a sold out club, you start to wonder like, that's a big step, man. Could I even do something like that? So the same thing now with the car world, like having a shop, that's a big step, man. Could I do something like that? And that's why keeping it smaller at this level, it's a good start, because I talked to a lot of those other Supra shops that are in the nation, say the same exact thing. Yeah, man, we started with the same square footage you have. We started, we see where your drive is, because that's right where we started. And it wouldn't be possible without the support. It's never been a question. It's never been, what are you doing? Because of the passion, my family's always been like, they know what daddy's doing. Know what daddy's doing. And you need that. You really do. She's able to support it and also like check me on it. Hey, we need a vacation. Okay, it's vacation time. Right. You go 5 years without a vacation, just in the blink of an eye. Yeah. You need that there.
It's 2025 already, and we're man.
Where'd the year go?
Yeah, we're already 9 days in, and I'm like, we're 9 days in.
9
What?
days in,
What happened? So I'm curious about this. Where do you think your motivation to constantly grind comes from? Like, was that something you saw in your family? Was there something where you saw it get you ahead? Like, how did that develop for you?
it developed as I got older and realized that my mom brought me to the United States. She was very well established, her own apartment, like condominium, very financially stable in a really tough to live country. You gave everything away to bring my brother and I up here. And when we came up here, she opened a business cleaning houses. And I will often help her. And I would say, you know, I saw my mom go from this executive, getting up every morning, appearance, like, oh, mom works really high-end job, to come here and clean toilets. That was her gift. She already had made her life in my eyes. Like, she already got there, done that, did everything she wanted. She gave that all up to come here for us. So my gift back to her is becoming the absolute best I can at it, so that I know she did not waste any of that. That is my daily motivation. Like, I got nothing to complain about. She made it to the top, gave it all up to come here and clean bathrooms at the time. You know, now it's well retired and enjoying the beach.
And Oscar can take care of it if she needs something, worst case scenario, you know?
The worst thing that I can think of is me sitting on the couch doing nothing. Why have you became nothing? I gave it all up. Like, that's like no, wait a minute.
It's like a slap to the face if you went that route.
Yeah. That'll be like, no, we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna do, even if it stays like this size for the next 10 years, right? It's something.
I mean, there once used to be a dream about having a garage, and now you have it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Right. Do you feel like your kids are picking up that motivation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 What do you find? Because like I'll have moments where I look at my kids and I'm just like, wow. And then there's moments where I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah. So for you, is there, you know, you said she changed your oldest changed the engine in a cold garage behind her house by herself. Like, was it that moment? Like, what is a moment where you, like a first proud moment of your kids where you're like, they get the hustle?
They understand it. Man, my oldest definitely working on the car. Like, wow, she's really addicted to this car. And if we talked about doing something to the car, she would not wait. She just wanted it and be like, Daddy, I did it. Just kind of like, wow, okay, all right. You understand that sometimes you got to do it yourself, and you're not afraid to do it yourself. So it's nice that I respect that. It's like we could have done it together, but wow, I'm amazed that you did it. You did it yourself. My youngest, I always joke about it that she's a saver, and she's a saver. And I always make fun of her because I'll open the refrigerator and I'll find like 6 little bottles of juice, and each one has a sip on it. And I'm just like, you really thought of like, I'm gonna save this sip for tomorrow. Okay, that's a grinder mentality at the beginning. Like, okay, how do I save this for tomorrow? You know, so it's always those moments like that with the daughters. It's like, okay, they get it. Nice. They get it. It's not, don't waste it.
Right. Yeah. So one is she takes the action, she's solution oriented, she'll go get after it, your oldest.
Yeah.
And then your youngest is like, I don't want to just enjoy it in this moment. I want to thoroughly enjoy the process of whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
cool. Amazing.
Nice. So now to transition to a little bit of DJing, right?
Yeah.
So you were DJing as you're building the garage, as you were working at the dealership. Like, when did DJing start for you?
DJ started originally for my oldest daughter. She was having a birthday party. And at the house that I bought at the time had a really nice setup basement with, like, it was like a bar turned into a DJ booth. And we got a couple of lights, and like she wanted to have a party. And I started reaching out, and I was one of those persons. I was like, how much is a DJ? Are you crazy? I'm not paying that amount of money. And then I said, hey, you know, give me a couple of CDs. I'll play them. So I was all, you know, at the time, Radio Shack was big.
Yeah.
We walked into Radio Shack. I bought one of the cheap mixers, a couple of CD players. I'm like, I'm a DJ. I'm going to play tonight. Had a blast. And those house parties became like legendary because when I bought the house at the beginning, it was empty. It's an empty 3-family house. And we're having these crazy parties. Like, who's going to complain?
Right. All three are me.
All three, everybody's partying in this party.
Yeah.
That's where originally originated. And from there, it kind of caught traction because she would bring her friends would tell her other friends, and it's like, hey, we're having a pool party here, we're having a pool party there, and that kind of started, and I segued real fast into private events, which normally I think when you're talking DJing, the normal story that I hear is college gigs, bar gigs, club, then private, right? You're getting older, so you start to creep out of that scenery.
Sure.
I kind of skipped all that, went straight to private events, and then kind of started segue myself back in to like meet some people that are more in the industry, more nightlife related, and I was just kind of like, man, I'm like, do I really want to get involved in this? Do you know what a pay is on a wedding? And I'm home at 12, like, but it's the balance of both, because one could be more fun than the other, less stress, more party mode. I started to segue into the bar stuff. Like, wow, this is pretty fun. This is pretty cool. Like, who cares about the money? The money is going to come and go. Am I having a good time? Are they having a good time? And then the referrals kept coming in. Hey, I went to a wedding 3 years ago and you were the DJ. I'm getting married. I just got engaged. That's the number one. Again, I same as here. I don't have a website. I don't need a website. I don't want a website. It just, some people live for it, and that's what they need to capitalize for their business. Just being you and doing a good job at what you do has been more than enough. When you're turning away work, why would I want to spend money on a website? Which is the complete backwards. It's all about being out in the internet right now, and I'm not. And I'm turning away work. I got cars that are waiting, customers that want to book me for events that I can't do myself. Why would I want to put myself even out there more? Yeah, for growth, I get it. But very much like these cars, if they come here, DJ and car related, I get a text, I'm getting married, they want me. Can you do it? No, because they also have 5 more DJs they know, but we want you. So if I say I can't, but hey, I got really good guys. Can you do it? You can't? Okay, don't worry about it. They also got 5 more guys that can hit up.
Right.
When a car comes in, they want me working on it. They don't want XY over here. Like, they don't know him. You know what I mean? Even though I can certify the guy. You go watch him, or you gonna do? So it's very particular in that way. When there is customers that they'll say, "Oh, you're busy? Do you have anybody?" Perfect. That then we can plug people in on the DJ world, but because it's only like so one-on-one, they only want you. It's hilarious because 90% of my weddings, I don't get a playlist. All they say is, here's my first dance, here's my parent dances, my entrance, introductions, wedding party. Do what you did at the last wedding. Done. That is, and those are the best events ever, because they seen you. You're not getting, this 3-hour interrogation. What do you do if this happened? What do you do if this happened? They just don't. So, and that's what happens when you got leads out in the internet. They don't know you. They see it. They see a bio. They see you're good, but that's all they know. They haven't seen you out. So I tend to just stick to the word of mouth. Hey, we know this guy. He does great.
Yeah.
A little bit easier on my end.
You've built a brand. You've built a very great brand.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not near the level that you're at, but the coolest thing that's happened to me recently is I had a couple who booked me, never met me in person, transferred me the cash, sent me just their entrance, first dance music, and that was it. The day of the wedding, I didn't realize it was even them until you know what I mean? It was one of those. Awesome. So I hope to get more to where your brand, similar awesome. Like that. But when you're saying these things, I'm like, that's cool, to be able to turn away where you have so much going on, that to be able to turn work away and people are just like, all right, how do we get him? How do we make it possible? So that's really cool. Yeah. So you start off throwing the birthday party, CDs.
Yeah.
Now you're at the boats. Yeah. You're on the radio. Yeah. Kind of walk me through the process of how you've gotten to where you are in terms of DJ wise.
Yeah.
And Like, were there certain key moments, or was it always like, how did it happen?
The first word I can think of is organic. Being around good people, being a good person at the right time, all the time, has really what opened the door. Because everybody's got a talent. Everybody is amazingly talented that I know of, DJs, right? But everybody brings a different hustle to the table. You know, sometimes you have a talented person show up whenever they want to. You can't just show up whenever you want. That talent would only get you so far. We see this through all the memes on social media. Talent would only get you so far. So I know I'm surrounded by some guys that could do a few laps around me, but their hustles might not be there as clean as professional. They need to be able to be reliable. It's a big key, and that's in any industry, not just DJing. You know, are you going to be on time? Are you going to be professional? Yes, you got hired. I can get hired for, you're going to DJ this event. But if I show up late and just say, I'm on the radio, man, I do whatever I want. You know who I am? I'm never going to get booked again by that customer. You show up, you do a professional job. You're not only that guy, plus some. Like, wow, this guy. You know, and there's been situations where, like, yes, I kind of like walk into events and they'll come up and like, hey, aren't you on the radio? And it's like, yeah. Oh, can we take a picture real quick? Like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But it all segue just from being out and meeting the right people. And I think that good energy just attracts more good energy, you know, because I know like a lot of my friends have some really good connections on their phones that they can also call. Why did you call me? And that's the answer. I have asked that question specifically. I know your cell phone has some top contenders. Why did you call me? And that's the exact answer. You're professional, you're on time, you're reliable. That is it. I'm like, okay, cool. Great, because mentally I want to know that. You know what I mean? When I see somebody who's just that good or better, like, man, I wish I could do this, and this like that guy does. But they call me. What did I do? Like, so I can do more of that.
Right. Just reinforce that behavior more and more. Yeah, absolutely.
And because it's just organically, you got guys that are chasing that position where sometimes it just happens organically. Like, wasn't forced in, wasn't like, man, it took me 35 years. And like, I wish I could say that, but no, I just think that being good, professional, reliable, it's what opened up the doors. And there's been more doors opened in the last 4 years that I sometimes wonder, man, should I walk through that door or not? But yeah, like you said, when you're so busy, sometimes you just have to like, I wish I could, thank you, I appreciate the opportunity, but I can't at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk your first day on the radio, right? You're walking into the radio station for the first time, about to go on air.
Yeah.
What's that like?
That was New Year's Eve for my birthday. Excited, scared. I'm gonna train wreck a song. What am I doing?
On air, man.
On air, like, what is going on? But, you know, that's when it's kind of like you really got to take a deep breath. And I got this. Like, I got this. You know, and done it now here, all these years, that still to this day, you know, when it's like, hey, you're on tomorrow, like, let's go, like, all right, like, it's cool, like, you walk in and just to know, like, you know, people hitting you up on the social media, like, hey, I'm live, like, we're listening to you right now. It's like, this is cool, man. It's you know, it feels like yesterday, you know. Feels like yesterday. And that was, what was it, December 2018, 2019. So it's not like 30 years ago. It's still pretty recent to me. You know, it's kind of like, wow, this is awesome. You know, it was a big step. It really was, to say, wow, I'm on the radio.
Right. So how did that transition happen for you? Like, were you DJing at a certain place where you networked with somebody, or how did you end up getting on the radio for the first time?
Yes, let me go back. DJing at a nightclub with people that are on the radio. And I gotta go back to those good vibes, man. Good vibes, good people. They put my name in the right rooms, the right direction. I would probably have to say is the best way. And then I was reached out to like, hey, you want to do a guest slot. You're not automatically just thrown in. You know, it's just, hey, there's a guest slot X time of the year. Prepare to be ready on the radio. That's what really, it wasn't something that like I applied for or I started reaching out to like, who's the boss? Get me in, bro. Like, I'm the one. No, it just organically, like, I can do it. I'm reliable. And it was like a mutual understanding. Like, okay, come by the station. We'll talk about it. And we'll take it from there. And it was just like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Right.
This is really happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got to say it again, organically, just like it worked out. You know, and that's, a lot of these moves has been that way. They just work out. Like, put 2 feet forward and keep moving.
Right, right. So, did you end up on the radio before you got the boats, or which one came first for you?
The boats came first.
Okay.
The boats came first. The boats started because I bought a pair of turntables.
You bought a pair of turntables.
I bought a pair of Techniques.
Okay, yeah.
And I put them on my dining room table. I was a tractor DJ, so I had a tractor mixer and turntables. And I remember taking a picture of the turntable. I just got these, like, super excited. Like, I just got a pair of turntables. I went from a controller to this. Like, wow, I'm learning this thing.
You're a turntablist now, bro.
Wow, I'm learning this thing. I don't know. I'd probably say 8 months later or maybe a year later, a friend of mine hit me up and said, hey, we're looking for some DJs for one of the ships. They had a big booking, and they wanted, the way I was told is the client wanted to see turntables at their ship. And because he saw the turntables that I had, I'm always very transparent. My first answer was like, man, I don't do tricks on this thing. Like, I will put the needle on the record. That is it. So we had a good conversation. Right after that, got off the phone from that, Daryl and Johnny, the first 2 that I hit up. Hey, I don't know what I just did or what, but we're on a boat. They want to see turntables. And me being difficult, being on tractor, there was Serato, we had to bring 2 sets.
Yeah.
Because we can't just switch DJs here. Like, oh, okay, like, all right, I'll do my set, you do your set. Amazing. Rooftop on the Odyssey. Amazing night. Fireworks, the whole 9. Then a year later, I get this crazy idea of I want to do my own party on a boat. Because the parties continued at my house and barbecues, and now it felt like a little traction was catching up here, right? Like, okay, let's do a party on a boat. So I hit up the same guy. He's like, actually, we're looking for DJs. We're having an audition. Can you come audition? I'm thinking, well, why not? I took the day off that night. I walked on the ship with the turntables. And I remember we're going back to being professional, being on time, being just polite, if I can put it. I walked in the ship, I set up my turntables, and I'm going through some songs, and the whole sales team is there for this event. It was called Boathouse Fridays on the Spirit of Boston, rooftop, every Friday. Amazing events. I did a set. I was just playing some Michael Jackson back and forth, just some very top 40 music. And a couple of the managers came up and they looked at the turntables, and their face was like, I hear 2 songs in the middle of the blend. Like, they were really like, there's 2 songs playing. Like, yeah. And that alone was like, oh man, we need this guy. You know, in my head, I'm like, I can come here and perform. You know, now looking back, this year marks 10 years that happened. You know, here I am, like, knowing 10 times more, music-wise, skill-wise, reading the crowd-wise. Like, I was given the opportunity to do that Boathouse Fridays on the boats, which came before, going back to the question, but they came before the radio.
Right.
The radio came after the boats. So that grew from Fridays to Saturdays, Saturdays to Sundays. Then it was just weekends only, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that was pretty okay because it was Daryl and Johnny and myself. Just kind of rotated and did the whole event. Throughout the year, the next year it grew. They wanted to open a second deck. We bring in another guy. And before you know it, it's like, okay, when we were outside on a Saturday afternoon, like, we are in the winter, we're stuck indoors. So as soon as the sun's out, we want to be outside.
Right.
So being outside, being on a rooftop, it adds to it. People want to go outside regardless. Now you have a DJ out there. So it really carried on like, man, upstairs is nice. And they have a DJ. What if we bring that guy inside? So we talked to a few of the managers, and they was like, yeah, let's bring that entertainment inside as well. And was able to grab the calendar for the whole ship year round. And it just kept growing, growing, and growing. And at that time, you really have to, what sold the product was me, right? So I have to be very careful and selective who comes in and performs at that level. Because yes, now I'm that guy that also has a cell phone full of some serious DJs. But what else? Can they be professional, time, polite? You know, so I'm calling those guys for the same reason I was called for in previous situations.
Right.
And it's not to hurt anyone's feelings, because you give the credit. These are some really good guys, but this is a different level of entertainment that we offer on these boats, and I have to be a little bit picky with it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not mad at you. Pick me. So
You're right there,
I'm there, so I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I have to tell you, like, it's probably been one of the funnest gigs that I do.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, you know, I do the private events, I do all that. So, like, when you do a boat gig, it's very simple to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing difficult about it. Sometimes I'm like, I'm really getting paid to be here, like,
to
you know,
do
to do
this?
this.
Is
Yeah,
this really
you know.
happening?
Yeah. Like, the one thing I tell, and I don't know how you explain DJing, but some people will be like, oh, you push buttons. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
imagine playing Tetris on the hardest level possible for 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's what DJs do
Yeah.
if they're really good. Because they're looking at the room, then they're saying, will this song work?
Yeah.
Then they're looking back at the room. Did it work? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
That is our whole night. Where our gray hairs come from
Oh,
as
yeah.
DJs.
Whole bunch.
You know?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So as you say this, I'm like, man, that sounds so, like the whole process of it,
Yeah.
getting to where you are,
Yeah.
sounds so sick, you know, like so
Yeah.
cool. So, you know, you've done the radio thing, you're doing the boat thing. Well, obviously, you're still doing the radio
Yeah.
thing, right? You're doing the boat thing, you're doing the car stuff, and you know, you kind of sit back. I would think you're so busy, you don't get too many times to
Yeah,
do
no,
this.
yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
from what I'm talking to, you're like, yo, man, I'm building a schedule, and then I got this, and then I got this. Like, even this took a little bit, you
Yeah,
know. Like,
yeah.
I remember I was hitting you up, I don't know, right at the beginning of when you got me on the boats, and
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, man, you want a free video for your show? Like,
Like, I wish. Hold on.
So, you know, now being here, I guess some questions I have is, what do you feel has been your biggest learning lesson? And then have you, from that learning, well, let me start there. What do you think is your biggest learning lesson in this whole process? Like, was there somewhere you messed up or something you didn't feel like you fully executed that since that moment you've always made sure to take care of that?
Oh, man. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Family time is probably like, and continues to be the biggest learning. Like, how do I adjust so I'm there for them? So they grow up seeing that around, not just knowing he's around. Seeing and knowing are two different things. Seeing he's around, that's probably the biggest struggle and the biggest learning through DJ and working on cars, or like, how do I balance the schedule out? That, like, I'm trying my best. You know, it's like, I don't know, like.
I definitely understand that. I definitely understand that. Because you're doing all of this to take care of them.
Correct.
But at the same time, you'll be with them, and I don't know about you, but this is how I view it. Like, mentally, I'm not present.
Yeah.
I'm in the room with them.
Yeah.
But mentally, I'm thinking about what do I need to take care of?
Yeah.
to make sure that when I'm in this room, I'm
Yeah.
present. And like it's like an ass backwards problem that I
Yeah,
have, you
yeah,
know, because
yeah.
it's like you're thinking about the hustle, but you're doing the hustle so you could be in the room with them.
Yeah.
But then you're in the room with them thinking about the hustle
Thinking
again.
about the hustle.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you? Because I'm curious,
Yeah.
because you're doing way more than I'm doing. I'm trying to get to the level that
We
you're
ju- we
at.
just
yeah.
hustling.
Yeah. So how do you work your best to balance that? Like, what do you do to kind of remind yourself family first?
So going from, I guess, I was so used to the normal day dealership life where there's a start and an end to that job. It's a job. You show up, you do your job, you leave. The job ends there. This here is such 24 hours because people are contacting me through social media for both DJ and cars, that it's like the first thing I can think of is like I gotta silence this phone so I can try to enjoy some time with the family. Like, okay, that's step one. So when I'm around, I'm there. Not just there physically, but like he's just here, but he's like always like, you know, and there are times and it's like, yes, if I have a wedding on that Saturday and it's Thursday, like the clients know the week off, and we have this meetings, the week off the event, my phone is open 24 hours.
Right.
Don't email me, text me. We change our entrance song, text it to me. I got you. The day of the event, any change can be made, text me real quick. I'm not opening emails, I'm not texting another customer. Your day, you paying me not only to make you dance that day, that whole week, that's your 911 to me. I'm your DJ, I am your DJ. That whole week, everyone else gets weight, right? So if I can do that with clients, you gotta also balance that with the family. Like I try my best to make it to that point. And now it's like, so I don't own an Apple Watch. I love people that have them. I don't, because it's bad enough when I'm trying to have a conversation. They're not only doing this, they're also doing this.
Sure. Yeah.
And I get it. It'll probably help me balance things out, but I think it'll ruin me more. So I'm
Because
holding
now,
myself.
if your phone's sitting on the other side of the room and you're here still,
it's
still,
this,
yeah.
it's this, it's this, and but that's just me. Maybe if I get one, I'll balance it differently. Maybe I'm not seeing it because I don't have it, but that's
Sure.
the first thing I see when somebody has one. It's constant, right? And I get it. Like probably, if you have kids, that needs to be there. But you're making yourself more available to someone else rather than the family that are there in front of you. Maybe I can silence the thing if I'm in there. But I will try to, some days, like, people might not believe it, skip the gym. Like, wait, you skipped the gym? I'm like, if I haven't seen you in 5 days, like, okay, let's hit up lunch. You know what I mean? And like watch a movie or something later on. Like, but it's no 2 days are the same. So I try to balance it that way. Okay, like if I can stay one day here later to open up some hours tomorrow, great. Because if you're not working, work is not getting done.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to take all this work in and then not do it. It's gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, okay, I spent X amount of hours here. Let me just be around for tomorrow night. My daughter's not working. Okay, the other one's around. My wife's out. Okay, let me try to see how I can finagle. And even though that happens, it always end up being that a customer shows up or I gotta go pick up a part. And if I don't get it today, I'm not gonna get it till next month because I don't have the time. Then the car sits here for a month. No. Okay, hey honey, I'm on the way, but.
Yeah. I understand that. Definitely.
It's a tough one. It's really a tough one.
Yeah. I get that because, so I used to own a club with my brother. And the one thing I've noticed about most club owners or people who've been in that industry, most of the time, the relationship they're in that they started that club with, they're not with, wow, you know what I mean? You see it fizzle because they're so invested in their business.
Yeah.
So when you say what you say to me, you speak to my soul because, like, literally, as I was driving here, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do this vlog. Oscar's the fucking man. I'm gonna get some great content. I gotta go back and edit it. How do I edit it without getting, you know, like, So I relate heavily to what you're saying in terms of that balance.
But that the backbone is the wife.
Very much so.
They understand the drive, the movement, the goal, and if you're loving it, they're gonna love it too. There was points in the dealership life that she will question it. Why are you still there? Just because you do go through a lot of stuff that is not normal.
Yeah.
But you stay focused. Like, we got to pay this mortgage.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
answer.
you got bills you got to take care of. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it couldn't be done without that backbone.
Right. Right. Well, we're getting close to ending because I know I told you about an hour.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you one or two more questions
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Proudest family moment as a dad, something that sits with you that you're very proud of. What comes to mind first?
With my two daughters here working on the car. It just like brings it together. Like being able to see them like teach each other, wait, no, I'm gonna do this and you're gonna do that. And it's just like, then they both look at me, should we do that? Like, okay, this is dope. This is nice. This is cool. Like, okay, we're here, we're doing this. And then to be able to like go out and be in a car show and the car actually win, in a room where it's like the competition was serious. And I saw a couple of the cars and they just kind of like, that car might win. But at the end of the day, it's like, who cares? Like, I got the memories we just made, putting the car back together. That, circling back to the beginning,
Right.
that already is a trophy. Much bigger smile that this trophy can give me. So definitely like working on the cars. Like, yeah, we can go out and have dinners and stuff like that, but that becomes more like the routine, normal-ish. Sure. Like, I haven't seen you, I've been busy all week, let's go grab some dinner. But like for them to come here and we're doing things, throughout the summer, when the summer vacation, come out and help me organize some hardware, help me organize some bills. They're like, Dad, you got a mess on top of this toolbox. Like, I know, that's my office too. That's really the proud moment. Right. To like look over to the side, teach him things, safety, sharp equipment, safety, because you will get hurt here very quickly if you get comfortable. You don't pay attention. You're just comfortable walking through and there's something sticking out, something hits you, you fall, you can get hurt very quickly in the shop environment. Me like showing them that and them picking it up. It's like, yes, it's a win.
Yes, yeah.
It's a win.
When they register what you said and then they act on it, absolutely.
It hit.
Absolutely,
yeah. My youngest, I did a set of brakes on her mom's car, my wife's car. We're doing the brakes. She held me through the whole brake job. I said, we got to order the back ones now, probably next month or whatever, when we have another day. Order the back ones, we're doing those. And I, on purpose, did something different. She called me out right on it. I said, hey, this is how you got to lube here and this so it doesn't build up rust. You got to make sure it's clean. So I kind of left it out like, oh, I'm going to put this together and we're good. And she just like, no, wait, hold on, Dad. Didn't you clean on the heel and do it? I was like, wow. Okay. Oh, my girl.
You get everything you want today, everything you want.
That was a moment. I was just like, okay, cool, you got it. That's awesome.
Nice.
That's definitely a proud moment.
Nice. And then I guess my last question is kind of like a two-part one.
Yeah.
Best advice you've ever gotten, and then what advice would you give to someone, or let me say it this way, I ask it this way. Best advice you've gotten,
yeah.
And then if you had to start all over again, I think I asked you this when we met and we ate. So I just, for the sake of just having it, if you had to start all over again and only take one lesson with you and go right back to the beginning,
wow,
what would that lesson be to build it back up to get to where you are now?
Wait, if I had to start all over again?
Yep, and only take one lesson out of everything you've learned to this point and rebuild everything you've built today, what would that lesson be that you carry with you?
Be you. Just be you, be yourself. Be that person that people enjoy being around. That would open more doors that you can handle. Right? People always want that nice person around. Good aura, good vibes. around you.
Right.
That'd be the only lesson. You could grow all over again with that in mind. Just keep moving forward with that in mind. It's just people want you around. You're a good person. You're just good vibes to be with.
Right. Right. And then what was the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice.
Or something that sits with you? When you think of advice, something that you think, when you're having a hard day and someone has said something to you that resets you, what's that advice?
Man, I got in a few good ones.
I'll take them all, man.
I got in a few good ones. In the DJ world, it was don't stop smiling when you're DJing, because when I look at you, I'm having a good time even though I'm not dancing, just by looking at how much fun you're having. That's always one that's like, wow, you're right. Nobody wants to look at a DJ booth and see some guy up there pissed off. You hate your job, change it. Because, especially in the DJ side, right? So that one's definitely stuck with me more than once. And there'll be situations where some events do get kind of stressed out. That's like, I got to check myself with that one. Like, is it going to, all right, let me have a little bit more fun here doing this. Man. Wow, like, so many things run through my mind, man. It's just, I got to go back to, this whole recording is going to be about good vibes. Like, don't stop being you. Always have the good vibes. Just be a good person that people want to have you around. It goes back to like the same question that you brought me back before, but that's been repeated to me so many times. And people just like, hey, man, great time with you. We got to do this all over again. Like, it's good. It was a good vibe. You know, it's just that alone, it is good. Because, and the same for me. I'm not, because we're so tight with time, you don't want to invest an hour with somebody who's like, man, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this, I hate that. Man, I hate that. Whoa, hold on, buddy. Okay, you don't invest that 1 hour with that person. Mm-hmm. You know, we might still be best friends, boys, but like we have two different auras here. We have two different. Right. Doesn't work out that way. So be a good vibe.
Nice. Well, Oscar, I'll leave it on that. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. Everybody, Big O, I'll add the social media that he does have on here for all of you.
Do you know? No hack zone.
Latest.